Hey guys, Justus here with tomorrowsfilmmakers.com, and today we're talking about one of the most exciting new tools for filmmakers, especially if you're into action cameras, travel, or just love capturing every angle possible, and that is the new Insta360 X5. If you're familiar with the X4 or earlier models, you're gonna feel pretty familiar with the X5, but trust me, it isn't just a slight upgrade. This thing packs a 144% bigger sensor, meaning that your footage will look cleaner, sharper, and way more cinematic, especially in low light. But it's not just about image quality. Insta360 has made some big moves with the X5 that makes it easier than ever to shoot, edit, and share your story. So let's talk about it. So if you're new to 360 cameras, let's start with explaining what it is. A 360 camera doesn't just see the world in front of it, it sees everything. It captures a complete sphere around you so you can decide exactly what you want to show later. All of these angles that you're seeing are from the camera mounted to the exact same part of the motorcycle. You can just move around in the editor and determine what you want to look at. And that's the magic of a 360 camera. In the editor, you can reframe that footage to a traditional 16:9 video in any direction that you choose. You're not locked into one angle, you have complete creative control. It's literally like having a camera operator who never misses a shot. You can track a subject, spin around to reveal your environment, or even create a hyper-immersive experience that's just not possible with a regular camera like we showed in the intro. So in the previous video, we talked about the best way to use an Insta360 for filmmaking. Fake drone shots, hyper-energetic action shots, impossible shots where you normally couldn't put a camera, or maybe even crane or jib shots. Now, there's so many different camera moves that are almost impossible without something like an Insta360, and this video isn't going to necessarily be a tutorial on how to use one of these, but to show you some of the new features of the X5 and how it can be an incredible tool to have in a filmmaker's tool bag. So what we would normally do is use an Insta360, and then once we have that shot, we would cut back to our normal mirrorless camera. But here's the real question. Is the X5 good enough to use for an entire video? First, I want to mention that the X5 has an 8K sensor, which is a huge upgrade from older models with a 4K sensor. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not that big of an upgrade, 4K to 8K, can we really even tell the difference? Well, with 360 cameras, you're capturing 360 degrees. So essentially this is 8K video that you're capturing. It's cool, but it's not really usable. But what you would then do is crop into a 16:9 image to use for videos. And when you do that, it looks great, but you're condensing that 8K image into a 2.7K image. That is a huge hit in quality, but with the older 4K models, whenever you would crop in, it would go from 4K to a 1080p image. So to go from 1080p to a 2.7K resolution in 16:9 is a huge jump. I knew whenever I was placing the X5 on the motorcycle that no matter what angle I decided to film at or what angle I decided to choose in the editor, I was going to be getting a 2.7K image that would blow the old Insta360s out of the water. It's amazing the power that this little camera packs.
This is fun, I'm enjoying this. All I do is put things on the motorcycle and send him off. And then I just wait for him to get back and pray that it's still on the motorcycle. Yay, it's still there. Good job. Here we go. It's still recording and it's still there.
But if you want to get the best image possible out of your Insta360, you have to change some settings first. First, if you swipe up, you'll see that you can now shoot in 8K resolution at 30 frames per second. If you want to shoot in slow motion at 60 frames per second, you would have to shoot in 5.7K, but it's still really great quality. So first, set your camera to the highest resolution possible. Swipe down and go into settings and go to image settings and change the bitrate from standard to high. We want as much info as possible here. Then change the video sharpness actually to low. We can always add sharpness in post, but the 360 camera automatically adds way too much sharpness. Then you want to swipe to the left and manually set your exposure and lock it. Please, please, please don't set anything to auto, not even your white balance. Look at the built-in screen or the app on your phone and get the exposure and lock it. Doing all of these settings will get you the best image possible out of your Insta360. Another huge upgrade with the X5 is its low light capabilities. The X5 shines in low light thanks to its upgraded pure video mode. In situations like this where the light is completely gone, pure video mode helps you get cleaner, smoother footage, and it will decrease that noise and artifacts to allow you to have better low light performances. I wouldn't use it all the time, but when you're shooting in low light. In previous 360 models, if I were to shoot anything in low light, it's gonna look pretty bad with a lot of artifacts. But now with the upgrades to the X5, I can actually get usable footage even when the sun is completely gone. Another upgraded feature is the X5's active HDR. When you're filming in a high contrast situation like this, where it's a lot of shadow, and then right here, tons of sun. And if you don't have a really good camera, you kind of have to choose what to expose for, the shadows or the highlights. And if you're using an Insta360, that issue is even more obvious because you aren't always there to change settings whenever you change environments. But if you enable active HDR, it will try its best to level out the shadows and highlights to accommodate the environment. Now it does downgrade the quality to 5.7K, so this is not something that I would use all the time, but only when you're in this type of environment. And the newest firmware also added adaptive tone mode to the 8K footage, which just makes it have better dynamic range. The difference might be subtle, but it is available if you need it. And for those of you wanting to vlog with the X5 like this, there is a huge improvement in the audio quality. With voice enhancement, you can actually use the onboard microphone like I'm using right now, and it actually sounds really good. But the biggest improvement is going to be in the wind reduction. With any other camera, if you add some wind, it's gonna sound like a wind tunnel. But with the wind reduction settings on the X5, I can be traveling at a high rate of speed, and it actually sounds really good. It might not be 100% perfect, but it's completely usable. And Insta360 also listens to their customers because they finally added replacement lens kits for the X5. In older models, they had some clear covers that went over the lenses, and it kind of affected the color a little bit. And if you scratch the actual lens, well, you are dead in the water. But now if you drop your X5 and get a scratch on the lens, like I did, oh! You get the replacement lens kit, take off the old one, put the new lens on, and it's as good as new. I know this might seem like a small, insignificant upgrade, but you would not believe how long I have waited for this. So with the Insta360, I do want to give you guys a couple tips and things to be aware of whenever you're using it. Number one is shadows. Even though the selfie stick is invisible whenever you're recording, and it's really awesome, the shadow of the selfie stick isn't. Sometimes there really isn't any way to avoid this, but it looks kind of funny whenever it's like this really cool floating camera, but then you see this giant stick in the shadow holding the camera. Also be aware of the stitch line. The camera sees 360 degrees because it has two lenses on either side of it that see 180 degrees, and then it will magically stitch them together in post. But sometimes if you're in the stitch line, it can warp just a little bit. So yes, it can see in all directions, and it doesn't matter which direction the camera is facing, but if you can choose, just try to have one of the lenses pointed at you or towards whatever you're filming. And finally, keep the camera moving. This camera excels with movement. During the opening montage, even though the camera was just hooked to the bike, I still had slight push-ins or spinning rotations in many of the shots, and showing this camera moving through an environment is huge. So use movement anytime you possibly can. And the Insta360 editor, or Insta360 Studio, has also seen a huge upgrade, and I absolutely love it. Inside the 360 Studio, you can select the clips that you want to edit, you drop them on the timeline, and then you can just move around in all directions. This is really cool and fun, but the keyframes are what really changes 360 footage. So if we look at the bottom right, we can see add a keyframe option. Once we select it, we immediately get a few presets to use. Crystal Ball, which I don't think I'd probably ever use. Tiny Planet, which is incredible. I love the way this thing looks. Mega View, Ultra Wide, D-Warp, Linear, and you might be confused as to which one that you should select. But I'll go ahead and tell you my favorite setting for 16:9 footage is actually not linear. I know this is the flattest image, but it also looks kind of unnatural because we're taking 360 footage and flattening it out. So having just a little bit of fisheye actually looks good with this. My favorite presets are going to be D-Warp and Mega View. I like using both of them, but just make sure your distortion control isn't at 0. Just a little bit of distortion is best. Then you go down the timeline a little bit, make another keyframe, move the camera any way that you want to, and click play. play, and your footage will automatically move to the other keyframe position, and this is what makes 360 footage so incredible. You can track a subject with their deep track feature where you can select a subject and then the camera will automatically stay focused on that person. And this is great if you're like moving the camera around a bunch and you want to focus on yourself. Instead of keyframing each movement, you can just track it and it'll stay locked. But guys, my favorite feature inside the 360 Studio, and I believe it completely transforms 360 footage, and that is right here, Motion ND. The biggest problem with action camera footage is that the shutter speed is just cranked up so high that everything is kind of choppy. And I've always hated this, the way the action cameras look, but that's just the nature of it. In fact, I would usually buy a third-party software called Real Smart Motion Blur and add it to any of my action cameras, and that by itself costs $100. Now they have a button for this inside 360 Studio. You turn it on and look at the difference it makes. It makes the motorcycle look like it's going 10 times as fast. I wouldn't use it for absolutely every shot, but I do use it quite a lot. So if we see the building here without it, you see what it does, looks very staccato and choppy, and then we do the same thing and we turn it on, and now it looks like it's smooth motion blur and like they have a normal shutter speed. After that, you simply export the footage into Premiere Pro and you are ready to edit.
So listen guys, I know you're all probably wondering, should I get a 360 camera? Is it worth it? Or you're probably asking yourself, will I ever even use it? And I'm here to tell you that I personally am finding myself more and more reaching for this camera even on normal film shoots. With all the upgrades in the new X5, the low light performance, active HDR, pure video mode, the 8K quality, I think every filmmaker should have one of these in their bag. You might not use it for every shoot, but what this does is it allows you to get shots that are not possible with your current camera, and you can place this thing anywhere. And with the quality improvements, I can actually cut between this and my mirrorless camera, and hardly anybody could even notice a difference. This camera is a powerhouse that opens up creative possibilities that you just can't get with anything in this price range. So if you want to learn everything there's to know about filmmaking and editing, head on over to tomorrowsfilmmakers.com. We're an award-winning online film course with over 1,200 training videos and over 100 hours of content taught by leading professionals in the film industry. With over 40,000 students in over 50 countries, a lifetime membership to our award-winning online film academy is only $97. Seriously. So if you're wanting to get into filmmaking, start a film business, make short films, create a YouTube channel, whatever it is, Tomorrow's Filmmakers is your one stop to learn all the skills that you need to succeed. And if you want to pick up an Insta360 for yourself, you can check them out in the description below. So guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video and want to learn more. Be sure to subscribe for more content just like this, and head on over to tomorrowsfilmmakers.com to take your filmmaking skills to the next level.